Hello and welcome to this video on exam preparations for After Effects certification test. I'm Luisa Winters. In this video, we're going to talk about exam objective 1, in fact, just a part of it. And this one objective is about working in the visual effects and motion graphics industry. All right, so we're just going to talk about that. We're not going to open After Effects yet. And in fact, this part is a little bit lengthy and somewhat boring, if you ask me, but we do need to cover it because it's on the test. So the last thing I want is for you not to know what a symbol means or not to know what a term means when they are so easy to remember. So let's just go through these and get it over with, and then we'll jump right into After Effects. But again, several movies before that. Okay, so here we go. Objective 1.1 is identify the purpose, audience, and audience needs for preparing visual effects and motion graphics projects. And basically that's this right here. That is what this movie is all about. So I'm just going to take you through key terms and, that sort of thing. So let's just get us started here. Let's talk about what client goals are, right? So client goals is simply what the client needs or wants. They should be specific, measurable, and achievable. So these goals should be very clear between you and the client. And don't worry if you don't remember these things. Remember, I'm giving you these slides as a PDF in the exercise files so that, you don't need to take notes. Just read the PDF and learn it from there. But I think client goals is pretty easy. The next one is target audience. A target audience is a particular group at which a film, book, or whatever is aimed. So that is your target audience, not to be confused with demographics. Demographics is statistical data relating to the population and groups within it. You also need to know about accessibility. So accessibility is simply the inclusive practice of ensuring that there are no barriers that prevent interaction with or access to the content that you're creating. So if I'm blind, I should be able to enjoy your material with, say, alternative tags or descriptions of the pictures. If I am deaf, I should be able to enjoy it as well with things like subtitles, closed captionings, that sort of thing. Then comes email size limits. Listen, I don't know why this is here, but it is. So just know that, some email services have size limits, and the rule of thumb, I don't know who created this rule of thumb, but it is there, is that messages shouldn't exceed 10 megabytes. So whatever. If not, you can always send the link. You can upload it to Google Drive, to Dropbox, to whatever you're using, and then send the link. You're not really including the file on the email. Then comes compression. Data compression is a process in which the size of a file is reduced. So just remember this. Compressing a file, a video file, simply means taking perfectly good bits of information and putting it in the trash. Then comes the codec, the notion of the word codec. That is a compound word that stands for compression, decompression, right? So compressing is when you take that information and trash it, right? To make the file size smaller. And decompression is when you reconstruct the file so that it can be viewed, whatever on the other side, right? So codec, compression, decompression. You should also know about input and output file formats. So you could have a codec that compresses for playback, etc., and then you can have something like an aspect ratio. So don't forget that aspect ratio could be 16:9, which is what you're watching right now, or say YouTube Shorts, which are 9:16, more vertical, right? But you also have other aspect ratios like 21:9, 4:3, 5:4, 32:9. You have square. you have all those kinds of different aspect ratios. And just remember what an aspect ratio is, just in case that question appears on the test. So the key concepts here would be selecting the correct codec. There are acquisition codecs, which are usually a higher quality, and then there are delivery codecs, which are usually just for consumption. For example, the codec that I use to record some things, like my Icelandic videos and that sort of thing, is going to be one thing, but then what I upload for consumption, in other words, for YouTube or whatever, is going to be a different quality, usually lower, so that I can stream real time without any hesitation, any hiccups, etc., etc. Remember, compressing, we're making the file size smaller so that it is more manageable by the computer or the streaming service. And make no mistake, YouTube is a streaming service, and that's why we can watch these things real time. All right, so these are some of the most popular codecs that are out in the market. H.264, which is MPEG-4, and you might recognize MP3, right? MPEG-3, which is audio only, MPEG-2, which is the DVDs, which of course nobody uses now, but you get the idea. MPEG-4 is one of the most commonly used video codecs today. Of course, it's being very quickly replaced by H.265 or HEVC, or high efficiency video codec. And, it does offer a better compression scheme than H.264. Anyway, ProRes belongs to Apple, and ProRes offers both lossless and lossy compression. And, I just said that compressing something means taking perfectly good bits of information and putting it in the trash. And now we have words like lossless and lossy. I mean, right? Let me make this very clear. If it's compressed, there is loss of information. So when you see words like lossless and lossy, it just means what your eyes can detect of the quality of the video. So when they say lossless codec, it just means that, hey, with the naked eye, you won't be able to tell the difference between the uncompressed and the compressed file. So that's what it means. You have another codec in here, which is the DNX HD. That's what usually Avid uses, and it's lossy. So, and it's an intermediate codec, but it's meant really to use with Avid, although I have to admit I have used it with Premiere Pro. Moving on, we have now Cinema DNG, which DNG stands for digital negative, just so that you know. And sometimes it's confused with the stills, like I say, in the raw images that you take. Cinema DNG was created so that you can create a sequence of stills. So when you record Cinema DNG, it's going to appear as separate stills in a folder, and the folder will usually have the date and the time. That's going to be the name of the folder, and then each still is going to have a very long, sequential alphanumeric code of each one of the names of the files. But basically, you open this as an image sequence, and it will play, depending on the speed of the computer, it should play pretty flawlessly. And of course, the quality is just going to be out of this world because it's really raw. So you can, even in After Effects, you can import Cinema DNG as an image sequence, in other words, as a video, and you can color correct it using the raw dialogue, like in Photoshop, and you can color correct it like that. So that's an amazing way to work, and one that I really, really, really enjoy. Then you have MOV, which is, for QuickTime, and it's Apple's thing. And yes, you can use MOV on Windows, even Premiere will export and be able to import MOV files, including ProRes, etc., etc. But it really was created by Apple. Then you have AVC HD, and that was developed by Sony, Panasonic, and it's usually used for consumer and even some prosumer camcorders. All right, moving on, you have AVC Intra for professional camcorders, An MXF is designed to be a standard file for exchange of compressed video. So it was more popular than what it is now, but it's still, I still see it quite a bit. And that takes us to the end of that one section. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.